Hello everybody, this is Tyrell from the Nosebleeds. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the AFC South. Just want to say real quick thank you to everybody who liked and watched the AFC North video. Again, got the whiteboard written up, ready to go, ready to crank it out, ready to get at it. And AFC South. Next video will be the AFC East. But without further ado, let's get into the AFC South preview. Houston, Indianapolis, other side of the board, Jacksonville, and Tennessee. So we're going to start going in alphabetical order by city now, instead of it being kind of all over the place. Kind of was with the AFC North preview and everything like that. So let's get at it. First off with Houston, added Danielle Hunter, edge rusher. They extended Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback, their number one cornerback. What a great extension by them, much needed. They poached veteran offensive tackle Trent Brown from Cincinnati. They grabbed E.J. Speed, linebacker from Indianapolis. That's a key loss for Indianapolis. E.J. Speed, 93 solo tackles last year, 142 tackles total. And he actually had 117, I want to say, back in 2023. So they're getting a very good linebacker. Excuse me. Getting a very good linebacker in there to bolster up their defense as Houston continues to make a run at a Super Bowl championship. They also added Nick Chubb. I'm pretty sure Nick Chubb is going to be more in a number two running back situation. Not going to be the primary guy, but somebody that comes in when their starting running back gets tired or to fill in maybe a game or two, anything like that. That is a huge loss for the Browns. I did not mention that, but huge in the last video. But huge loss for the Browns nonetheless, and the Houston Texans were able to pick up Nick Chubb. Key losses, traded away Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. They also, I didn't write it on this list, but they lost Stephon Diggs as well to the New England Patriots. And Eric Murray, the safety, went over to Jacksonville. So they grabbed one player in E.J. Speed from their division from the Indianapolis Colts, but lost Eric Murray to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this draft. In the draft, they kind of have a love situation with the name Jalen. They drafted Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State University. Real quick, I am going to start writing the universities down, but again, their initials as well to save space on the whiteboard. So Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. I cannot pronounce that name. Sorry if I butcher it, but Arte Ursary, offensive tackle from Minnesota. Jalen Noel, wide receiver out of Iowa State. So they got both Iowa State wide receivers in this draft. They also drafted Jalen Smith, a defensive back from USC. They drafted Woody Marks, a running back from USC. Jalen Reed, a safety from Penn State University. Excuse me. Graham Mertz, quarterback from the University of Florida. They also grabbed Keontae Hamilton, defensive tackle from Rutgers University, and Luke Leahy from Titan University, Iowa. Key games for the Houston Texans, I believe, will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Baltimore Ravens. That'd be a huge game, potentially for seeding purposes. Denver, Buffalo, Kansas City, and the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they will sweep Tennessee and Indianapolis. They're going to split their wins with Jacksonville. I think they'll take care of the Rams, Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Buffalo, Arizona Cardinals, and Las Vegas Raiders. 12-5 record. So far, I have the Houston Texans having the best record in the AFC. We'll see how that goes. They're probably going to go to Kansas City again, but we'll get to that when we get to the AFC West preview. For Indianapolis, move on to Indianapolis now. Indianapolis added Travaris Ward, defensive back, recovering the Ravens losing to Indianapolis. They added Daniel Jones, which we know about the dirt machine, Daniel Jones, but time will tell to see how that's going to go. I imagine Daniel Jones will get some start time at some point in the season. A lot of questions on Anthony Richardson as they going into this season. They brought in Daniel Jones to be a serviceable quarterback to plug into their system. I don't know how well that's going to work. I don't know how much playing time he's going to see between Richardson and his leadership ability, his playability, or even like his way to stay healthy and be available, his availability. Who knows how that's going to go with that. And I would imagine he probably plays about 2 or 3 games, if not more, depending on how well Anthony Richardson plays this season. They also grabbed Cam Bynum, which was a huge get for them as well. Key losses, obviously, the Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay did pass away. That is a huge loss. We have to see how his daughters are now going to run this organization, and I can see some potential turmoil inside that ownership group, as there's going to be a bit of a power struggle on who does this and who does that. I know one of the daughters listens in to the coaches and what they say. Some people call it micromanagement. Some people say it's a good investment. It's a good idea in the investment that you're making. But time will tell to see how that goes. But 3 daughters all have their hands on the ownership in different facets of the Indianapolis Colts organization. I can see where there are going to be some issues where maybe a daughter will want to take full control and want to push out the other daughters, but we'll see about that. But the passing of Jim Irsay, definitely a huge blow for the Indianapolis Colts and for the community of Indianapolis, and still prayers going out to the Irsay family for that. As mentioned, they lost E.J. Speed to their division rival Houston Texans. Deo, not going to pronounce that last name, edge rusher, they lost him. They lost Joe Flacco back to the Cleveland Browns. They lost Ryan Kelly, and they also lost Will Fries, two guys that were solid on their offensive line, so they lost a little bit of offensive line there. With their draft, they drafted Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State University. JT, defensive end and edge rusher from Ohio State University. Justin Wale, defensive back from Minnesota. Jalen Travis, offensive tackle from Iowa State. DJ Giddens, running back from Kansas State University. Riley Leonard, quarterback from Notre Dame, which, as you guys know, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I think with Riley Leonard, from what I don't know how big of a quarterback arm he has, or how big of an arm, he has for the NFL. Not totally sure how that's going to translate. I didn't see that he had the greatest arm, but he is a guy that does not make a lot of bad decisions. He's mobile. He's a guy that has heart, has determination, does not get frazzled easily, plays hard, plays through the whistle, plays every single game hard. I love Riley Leonard personally. Just don't know how his game is going to translate over in the NFL, but we'll see how that goes. So congratulations to Riley Leonard and all the draft picks. Congratulations to them for getting drafted. They drafted Tim Smith, the defensive tackle from the University of Alabama, and Hunter Worrell, I think that's how you pronounce that, a safety from Wisconsin. To me, Indianapolis key games: Miami, Las Vegas, Atlanta, San Francisco, and Seattle. I believe they split with Jacksonville and Tennessee. I do believe they get swept by the Texans. They beat Atlanta, Las Vegas. I think, and bold prediction here in this preview, that they do beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a November game. It's Indianapolis coming off of a bye week, and I can see Indianapolis catching Kansas City sleeping. And also, Kansas City kind of have this tendency of not playing that well against the Colts anyway in their past. So I can see that being a major upset. And then I have them beating Seattle. But I don't have Indianapolis winning a lot of games. There's a lot of questions for their offensive line. There's a lot of questions for their quarterback situation. Especially, you don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones, it's going to be Richardson. I think Riley Leonard could sneak in there and play a game as well, especially if it's late in the season, they're already out of the playoffs, and they want to see what they got in Riley Leonard. They might play him as well. So I don't have them winning a lot of games. With the 2 division wins against Atlanta, Las Vegas, Kansas City, and Seattle, got them going 6-11. So now it's time to flip the board. All right, board is flipped. Notebook is flipped. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 1 addition, hiring Liam Cohen, new head coach for them, previous offensive coordinator for the last couple of years for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Side note about him, I don't know how I feel about him as a head coach. Obviously, the offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thrived under him, but I think that's also in large part because Tampa has a lot of weapons in general. Those last couple of years, you still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield's been playing lights out those last few years as well. So I'm not sure how I feel about him. I also don't like how he left the Tampa situation. Tampa wanted to extend him. He agreed to an extension earlier and then did not tell a single soul in the organization, whether it was the owners, general managers, or even the players, that, hey, I'm going to Jacksonville, and then proceeded to try to poach. All the offensive staff from Tampa to go join his staff, and Tampa blocked that because of how he handled that he handled it poorly. And that kind of reminds me of a Bobby Paterno-esque type thing, where Paterno left the Falcons, didn't tell nobody. Paterno did that to a couple of schools too, where he just gave everybody the middle fingers, like, I'm not leaving, and proceeded to, like, not tell anybody. The only way they found out was by news breaking or even by a press conference. I think Atlanta, the players found out through the notes in their locker at the same time that he was having a press conference about Arkansas. And I'm talking about Bobby Paterno. And that's kind of how Liam left. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't. Actually, matter of fact, he verbally agreed to sign an extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then, like a thief at night, just showed up in Jacksonville. So I don't know how that's gonna go. When you got a head coach where I'm sitting back and questioning character issues, or anybody has to question character issues, as a head coach, not as a defense coordinator, not as an offense coordinator, but as the head guy, I think that screams red flags as well. They also hired a new general manager. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I forgot to look that up. So that's my bad on bad research on that, but we'll improve on that. They got Patrick McCarr from Baltimore, Emmanuel Agba from the Miami Dolphins. Agba is a former Brown. I actually like how he plays, so I think that was a good pickup for them. Got Jordan Lewis, defensive back, and Eric Murray from the aforementioned Houston Texans. Key losses, they lost Brandon Sheriff. I think that's a major loss. Sheriff played 98% of the snaps last year, and Mitch Morris, their center, they lost him as well. They let both of those guys walk. Both of those guys are free agents right now at the time of this recording. He played 99% of the snaps. They lost Christian Kirk. I believe Kirk did go to the Texans. So they lost Christian Kirk. Kirk added to the Houston Texans. So it was kind of like, okay, well, Jacksonville was like, we're going to take Murray, and Houston was like, we're going to take Christian Kirk. I think, talking about Houston real quick, because I forgot to mention Christian Kirk. I think Christian Kirk is going to be a good addition for them. I'm not looking for a guy that's going to get over 1,000 yards every year, but somebody who's serviceable, plays good, reliable, available. Houston got a good job with that to add a little bit of weapons to C.J. Stroud. And, Jacksonville lost Evan Ingram to the Denver Broncos. Guy who kind of had a slip in production last year. I believe he only played 9 games last year, but 2023 caught a good amount of passes, and that's still kind of a loss to them, especially when you're still trying to figure out how to, kind of crazy, but you're still trying to figure out how to build around Trevor Lawrence. And a reliable person, and Evan Ingram, when he's on his game, let him walk away to Denver and give Denver a weapon for their quarterback. I don't know. I think that's a pretty big loss there. Their draft got, to me, the best player in the draft. To me, they made a deal with the Cleveland Browns to trade up 3 spots to go get Travis Hunter, a two-way player, defensive back, and wide receiver out of the University of Colorado. Heisman winner. They got the best player in the entire draft. Caleb Bransall, defensive back from Tulane. They drafted Wyatt Millam, offensive lineman from the University of Western Michigan. From the University of West Virginia. I'm looking right at the initials and I said Western Michigan, so that's my bad on that. But the University of West Virginia. They got Tutton, running back from Virginia Tech. Jack Kaiser, another Notre Dame guy, which he's a very serviceable linebacker. I think they got a good pickup with that. Jalen McLeod, edge rusher from the University of Auburn. Rayon Lane III, safety from Navy. Jonah Monheim, a offensive lineman from the University of Southern Carolina. And LaQuint Allen, running back from Syracuse. To me, Jacksonville's key games is Carolina, the New York Jets, and the Denver Broncos. Don't really have a lot of key games for them. I still think with their offseason moves and their team that they're bringing in this year and the questionable head coach that they have, not really feeling the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. And I have them splitting division games with all 3 divisional opponents. That counts with 3 of their wins alone. They beat Carolina and maybe Denver. Maybe Denver. I don't know. We'll see. But they play the AFC West, and you got Denver, the Chargers, and the Kansas City Chiefs. All in. That's who you're playing. That's who you're playing. So I'm not sure. They might beat Las Vegas, but I don't even see them beating Las Vegas. 5 wins. That's all I got for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just 5 measly wins. So we finally move on to our final team, the Tennessee Titans. And with Tennessee, I like some of the pickups that they got here. You can clearly tell their focus was kind of in free agency was get a weapon for Cam Ward. They knew they were drafting Cam Ward immediately. So they got a weapon for Cam Ward with Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson. Again, like I said in the last video, Van Jefferson's not a guy that's going to pop off the screen for you. But if you need a serviceable wide receiver that has good hands, can get the first downs when you need them, can come in clutch in some bigger moments in the game, Van Jefferson's definitely your guy. They added Dan Moore Jr., offensive tackle from Pittsburgh as well. He has a lot to prove as well. He played 98% of the snaps in Pittsburgh, so a very serviceable offensive tackle. But I did see a lot of people who sit back and say, well, he doesn't deserve the 4-year contract with $50 million guaranteed to it. He's looking to prove the naysayers wrong on that. But to get a guy that's going to protect Cam Ward and possibly open up some running lanes, I think that's a good pickup for the Tennessee Titans. They got Xavier Woods, a safety. They got Draymond Jones, a defensive tackle. Cody Barton, who had 52 tackles in 2024, played majority of the snaps for the Denver Broncos. So I thought that was a good pickup. And to replace Nick Folk, which I think that is a key loss. He only missed 1 field goal last year. But they got Joey Sly, the kicker from the New England Patriots. Like I said, Nick Folk is a key loss for the Tennessee Titans. They traded away Kenneth Murray, a linebacker, to Dallas, which you can kind of tell that's what the Cody Barton signing is for, is to replace Kenneth Murray so they believe they can get more production and is a better scheme fit than Kenneth Murray is to them. They also lost Jerome Baker to the Cleveland Browns, and Nick Westbrook, not a very big name when it comes. He has a second last name I couldn't pronounce it. I didn't even write it, but again, one of those guys that is not going to be talked about a lot, but played over 71% of the snaps for the Tennessee Titans. So clearly that's a weapon that they lost, or somebody that's out on the field often. When you're playing 71% of the snaps as a wide receiver, you're doing something right. So the draft, obviously they drafted Cam Ward, first overall pick out of the University of Miami. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't know how good he's going to be. He's not talked about a lot. And something that I believe he wasn't talked about a lot because all the talk for the quarterbacks has been Shedeur Sanders. Obviously. And then like a bit of Jackson Dart. But it's been Shedeur and Shedeur. Wherever you go, it's all about Shedeur. It's not even about Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted ahead of Shedeur. It's not about Jackson Dart or anybody else. It's been about Shedeur. But Cam Ward is the first overall pick. So we'll see how that goes. Clearly, the Tennessee Titans believe there's something with Cam Ward. We'll see how that goes. Y'all see that second name. I will butcher that name like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to try anyway. Oluwafemi, edge rusher from the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. Kevin Winston Jr., a safety from Penn State University. Shamir Dyke, a wide receiver from the University of Florida. Gunnar Helm, tight end from Virginia Tech. Elik Aomaner, that's what I'm guessing that's how you pronounce that. Again, if I'm butchering names, I apologize. A wide receiver from Stanford. Jackson Slater, a guard from Sacramento State. I'm going to do more research on him, but what I see from his tape, he's pretty good for especially coming from a person that is out of Sacramento State. which is a very small school. He's a guard that played there, and he's drafted in the league. There's something there. I think this Jackson Slater might be a pickup. He might not be, your Joe Thomases or your Kevin Zeitlers or anything like that, or your Trent Williams. Not a guy that everybody talks about, but I think he's going to be a serviceable guard in this league. I really, really believe he's going to be a serviceable offensive lineman in this league. Marcus Harris, and like I said, real quick, going back to Jackson Slater, that's just based off of the film that I've seen of his so far. I think he's going to be pretty good. I thought he had good footwork, and I think if he would have went to one of these Power 5 schools, to be honest with you, from what I've seen, he probably would have been a mid-second round draft pick, to be honest. So I'm very excited to see how Jackson Slater is going to turn out for the Tennessee Titans. Going back to Marcus Harris, defensive back from the University of California, and Khalil Mullins, running back from the University of Michigan. To me, their key games: Las Vegas, New England, Cleveland, New Orleans, and Denver. I believe they get swept by the Houston Texans. I got Houston only losing 2 division games. No, I actually got Houston losing 1. Because I have them splitting with Jacksonville, but sweeping Indianapolis. And yeah, so I have Houston only losing 1 division game. So with that being said, with Tennessee, I have them splitting with Indianapolis and Jacksonville. I think they have the team because they're young as well, and there's 2 young quarterbacks going at it. I think they can sneak out a win against Denver. I think they beat the New England Patriots, another young quarterback versus young quarterback matchup in the league. We got Cam Ward versus Drake May. That's going to be interesting to watch. The Las Vegas Raiders, obviously I got them beating them. Raider Ragu, sorry, but it's looking like I ain't got Las Vegas winning a lot of games so far. I have them beating New Orleans, and I have them beating my Cleveland Browns. 7-10 record. I think they finished better than Jacksonville. I think they finished better than the Indianapolis Colts. I think they finished better than my Cleveland Browns. I really do. So that is the AFC South video. The next video will be the AFC East. Again, like I said, thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button. Please comment. Please share. Please subscribe. If any of you guys got critiques or anything like that, they are much needed. I am trying to get this channel to grow. I want this channel to grow very, very well. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just having a lot of fun. Anyway, until next time, peace.